I'm Dave Crane. Now I also do gigs like this. And I can train you to be able to work with people like this. And then you also can do gigs like this. Come join me and we'll take your speaking to a whole new level. Hello, how are you crazy people? I've missed you. You've missed me as well, haven't you? Yes, Dave, thank you so much for saying that. I knew that you had, and you weren't really faking it. It's good to see you. Yesterday I meant to do a show and unfortunately I got sidetracked with lots of things, coaching clients, life, business meetings, blah, 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 blah. You see, the thing is, people are saying, sorry, I'm Dave Crane, hello. Welcome to Speak on Stage, hello. We go live out to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to YouTube, to Periscope and to Twitter, and sometimes we don't mention Instagram, but we do go out to Instagram sometimes, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know what I mean, then that's fine as well. So, what was I talking about yesterday? It's gig season. Now, here's the thing, and this is what I've been saying to you for such a long time. If you're a speaker and you're saying, oh Dave, there's no gigs around the world and the world's fallen terribly and blah, 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 you've missed the point. I promise you. Look, there are gigs out there and people need to have events happening. They're either happening online or they're happening face-to-face with social distancing, but they have to happen because for so many years, for corporate events, it's been the only way to get people to come together to support, to get money from sponsors, to make people feel unity, and to give opportunities for social media to go crazy and start promoting brands. So with that in mind, events have to come back. Do you know what I mean? Good. So I've been inundated with events. I've got a really cool one today. Let me just show you exactly what I've got lined up today. And I'm dead excited about it. This is it. You see that? Just put it on my face. Stop music. Right, this gig, right, is the world's, I'll move it around a little bit, the world's largest fountain, which is at the point on the Palm, and it's a Palm fountain launch, which I'm very excited to be hosting. And what's even more exciting than that, well, we're going for the Guinness Book of World Records for the biggest fountain of all time. Yes. And I'll be working with OSM and Disney. I'm working with Dubai government. I'm working with a load of different organizations to make it a reality. I'm so stoked about it. I can't tell you. This fountain, and if you can't really see it there, but if you've seen the Bellagio fountain at the end of Ocean's 11, when it just goes up and all the bits, and everyone goes, ooh, really exciting. Well, Dubai's got a bigger one anyway. It's Dubai, of course we have. So we've got a bigger one anyway, which is at Festival City. So when you go to Festival City, you can see, at the Dubai Mall. You go to Dubai Mall, Festival City's got a different one, which has got lasers showing a movie on water and on the buildings around. Yeah, I think it's the biggest laser show anywhere in the world. Anyway, that's changing the subject. So if you go to Dubai Mall, then you've got this incredible dancing light show with huge fountains that just go up to the sky and beyond, and it's crazy. Well, they've built one bigger. The biggest in the world, and I get to host it tonight. Now, why is that so fascinating? Why should I have to share it with you? Well, for a couple of different reasons. First of all, I'm really grateful for the opportunity to be involved in a record-breaking attempt, which will be successful, because, I mean, they've probably already guessed by now it's the world's biggest one. Otherwise, they wouldn't have spent all that money to build it in the first place. True. But also, because I've been talking about events now, and I've been talking about speaking. I've talked about creating your niche and creating your relationship for your marketing, and how speaking is the greatest way to get people to pay attention to you. And people are going, well, you know, I don't really want to speak. Or speakers are going, there's no gigs. Look, that's an example. There are gigs out there. There are gigs everywhere, but you have to look for them, and you have to knock on doors, and you have to be visible. I got a conversation yesterday, or 2 days ago, a good friend of mine who said we have to change our business now because there are no speaking gigs. Yesterday, I got offered five speaking gigs yesterday. Now, that's because people have to move things on, but they'll only go to the visible people who say, I can do this stuff. So if you're rolling on your back and going, "Arr, arr, arr, arr," and playing dead, then there's no chance of anything coming your way. If you want to step up and you want to get these gigs, and around the world you're now talking about billions and billions of people who you can get access to, as opposed to the people in your location driving distance because of virtual gigs as well, then watch this show and find out all the different things you need to do to get your act together. I'm not just talking about today's show, I'm about this show in general. Today's episode is episode 63. Now, if you're probably saying, well, what difference does that mean? I've been doing this show for 63 episodes. Think about that. Giving you lots of intellectual, not intellectual, Dave, you're quite stupid, but interesting points all about how to reinvent your business, reinvent yourself, become a speaker, and get related to the market so people can notice you. And I'll go for a ton of different subjects, which hopefully have been of use to you to get you where you need to be. So here's the thing, this is today's show, and it's how to gamify your business. You can see it there. And there's a gentleman who looks kind of invisible and looks very cool, looking out onto a city. I don't know why I put that picture there. I just thought it looked really cool. But it's called How to Gamify Your Business Anyway. So this, I want to show you how to reinvent yourself, your business, and the way you relate to the world in a way that the world wants to relate to you by turning it into a game. The reason that this show that I do now is Speak on Stage is fun because it's gamified. Doesn't mean I actually run proper games, but I will do. Oh, by the way, make sure that you also get in contact with me by posting and commenting on it. I love to see it. Share it. Start a watch party amongst all your friends who ever be interested in reinventing their business and gamifying it. They'd want to know this as well. Oh, by the way, thanks for all the feedback on the James Bond episode a couple of days ago. It was fab. But anybody who wants to know more about this, I don't want anybody to miss a show. Make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow, connect with me, whatever it takes on all different social media platforms, especially on YouTube, because all the back catalogs on YouTube, you can't find it on the other ones because then you've got to scroll down everywhere for all the old posts. It's really difficult, but YouTube is easy to find, and it's like creating a legacy or a video library for your content that everybody can access. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Thank you so much. Okay, so why am I wearing a red shirt? Why am I not looking like I should be dressed properly when you're doing a live show to everybody? Well, very quickly, I'll explain why. This shirt here, you can see it says Fly Emirates, sponsors. We talked about sponsors before. Emirates Airlines. And this is Emirates Dubai Football Sevens. Can you see this? It's got football. And you might be turning around, rightly so, and saying, Dave, Football Sevens, I've never heard of that. There's a good reason for that, because we did it one big year, and then we did it a couple of years in a sort of lower key thing. And I don't know if it's still going now, but it didn't work the same way as the Rugby Sevens. And you're going to say, well, why would not what work? Or we would say, why would what work? Because that doesn't make any sense. Why would anybody say, why would what work? You say, why would it not work? And I've lost all my toys. Where's all my toys gone? Ooh, there we go. But I'm not frustrated, so I can't do anything with that. Oh, I was going to unbox this yesterday. I was going to actually unbox this during the James Bond show because it's a gadget. Do you want to see what it is? Well, you'll have to wait. I'll do it later on. So, talking about the shirt, right, this was Football Sevens and Rugby Sevens. So, we've been doing Rugby Sevens for about 20 years. Hugely popular. 45,000 people in the stadium and about 100,000 people around the other games and the stadium over the whole weekend. It's crazy, massively popular. We love it. We did Football Sevens and it didn't have the same draw and the same impact. And this is important for gamifying. For gamifying, I'll explain exactly why it didn't have the same impact. Because it's a different game. And you're going, duh, yeah, what do you mean by that? Well, the simple fact is, let me just explain a little bit more. You need to play a different game to different audiences, ones that inspire them. Now, one of the things that we came to a conclusion on the very beginning is Rugby Sevens, as great as it is and as exciting a sport it is, and how worldwide it's been taken on, it's in the Olympics and everything else, is just a sport. Not everybody loves sport. It's just true, not everybody loves sport. So when I was in charge of entertainment at the events, people were saying, Dave, we need more rugby, more rugby, more rugby. I said, you don't need more rugby. What you need is more entertainment for the audience, more of a party. People don't go for the sport, or maybe 20, 30% do. Most people just go along and go, wow, lots of people having fun, singing songs, playing games, and there's rugby. We're winning everything. That's what you do. So it took a couple of years to convince everybody that we should be concentrating more on the party, and then we dressed up and we did lots of different games and activities all the time with the audience to get them excited about the possibilities of what could happen. So they came along for the excitement of the whole event, not just because of the rugby. Does that make sense? So if you're wondering what it looks like at the rugby, I'll show you exactly what a Rugby Sevens event looks like. Oh, let me explain. Why didn't football work? Because in rugby, you have to outscore the other team. And you're playing on a full-size pitch, and so from anywhere, anybody can outscore. If a ball gets kicked and you pick it up and you run, you can score if nobody can get near you to tackle you. So outscoring is different. It's like sword fighting without a shield. You can't defend yourself. You can just try and outstab the person. I'm sorry if you're having your breakfast right now, or if you're a massively pacifistic person, or if by accident somebody stabbed you with a sword and you're still a bit sore, which you would be if you're stabbed with a sword. But you get the general idea. With football, it's a completely different game. Now, I know football is the world's most popular game, and I love it. I do love it. But the challenge is, when you're playing a football match, it's got strategies involved that you can't have in rugby sevens. You can defend and kill a game. You can play for a draw. You can slow it down and pass between your players so the other team doesn't get anywhere near it. Now that makes sense in a certain strategic game, but it's boring. So instead of getting this huge high-scoring bonanza, we ended up with low-scoring games where sometimes people would do that to get through to the next round because they knew that if they lost, they'd go out. But if they could get a draw, they had enough points from the earlier games to go through. So it meant for a very boring game. And that's strategically what the difference was for the audience participation and for the viewer. And that's why it didn't work quite the same way. The players were great. In fact, if anything, the players were more household names with Liverpool, Celtic and Manchester United and Leeds and lots of international teams like Juventus sending their old past masters, Ian Rush and players like that, who we all recognised. I mean, they look old. I mean, I look old, but they look older. But at the same time, it didn't have the same impact. So when we look at the gamification of your business, which is what today's session and today's show is all about, I want you to think about your business specifically, your staff, the types of games they're amenable to, and the types of strategies that we could be looking at. Does that make sense? Great. Let's have a little coffee break. I'll talk to you in a few moments' time. And in fact, after the coffee break, I'll show you a glimpse of what I was doing at the Rugby Sevens to get the audience all excited. You're watching Speak on Stage.
Fantastic, keep it running all the way. As it goes round even further, we'll keep going all the way to the other stand. To ourselves. When it gets to you guys, a big cheering as well. Here we go! Keep sending it on all the way around. Fantastic. Look again. You see the players joining in. It's going to go. It's doing it. Wonderful. Keep sending it around. It goes all the way down. Everybody cheer!
So there you go. Welcome back to Speak on Stage. Almost forgot my own show. I'm Dave Crane. Love your comments and thoughts, by the way. The more you say, the more I respond to them, and the more interactive we get. And also, the more you comment on it, the more the algorithms turn around and say, oh, well, okay, then in that case, we should show it to more people because it's popular and people are paying attention to it. So whether you're watching on Facebook, leave some comments, leave some thoughts. I'll respond to you. I promise. Doing it on YouTube, doesn't matter, I'll respond to you. Doing it on LinkedIn, I always respond to you anyway. On Twitter, I'll tweet back to you, whatever that means. Tweet. Periscope, I'll stick it. It's a Periscope. I'll stick it up there for you. How do you Periscope somebody? Don't answer that question. So anyway, with reaching out, what we're going to do is look at some videos all about gamification, explaining what gamification is. First of all, the challenge of remote teams, how you got to deal with remote teams. Then the strategy of gamification, and then we're going to be looking at Kahoot and giving you a crash course, or at least an introduction to Kahoot, was probably the #1 game for doing Zoom calls or getting your team to have a break when you're living apart from each other and not going into the office. We'll be sharing that with you. Then after that, we'll be taking a dive into how you gamify your life. Not spending too much on this because that would be a whole new section on itself. But how to gamify your life, how to look at the bits and pieces, because you might not be working in an organization, you might be working at home, or you might be in your own particular business, and you're saying, well, I can't, do stuff to involve all the rest of the team because I have no team. It's just me, and I love me, but nobody wants to play with me. You might be making a noise like that, in which case don't, because even I couldn't hear it. Sometimes you go, and only dogs can hear that, so you've got to be very careful. So with that, we're going to be looking at the different opportunities for yourself, and then before we finish, we're going to be looking at how to gamify your business, the key areas you should consider, and also 5 recommended apps that the Google I did earlier told me I should be looking at and sharing with you. So all about gamifying your business. If you're excited about doing it, then you come to the right place. I love your thoughts. I love your company. I love having you with me all the way through. It's Speak on Stage.
Anton has joined the meeting.
While it may be astounding that we can have a virtual meeting with people on different continents, it can also be frustrating. And these frustrations can affect morale, engagement, productivity, and innovation. When changes in the ways we communicate lead to changes in how others perceive our communications, this calls for a new set of protocols and behaviors. Authors Erica Dewan and Tomasz Chamorro-Premuzic have a few rules of thumb for communicating with remote teams. First, since clarity and consistency are key, sticking to a set of agreed-upon norms can help avoid confusion. This could range from a set of acronyms about expected response times to standardizing use of particular communication platforms. Next, remember that you can never be too clear. Unless you've established a shorthand protocol ahead of time, don't assume others understand your brevity. Take the extra time to be extra clear, regardless of the medium. Third, don't bombard your team with messages. Each time you email, text, or call, imagine that you are physically walking into your colleague's workspace. If you followed up an email by text and phone, it would be like opening their office door 3 times in a row. Minimize your digital volume and think wisely before hitting send. Fourth, notice that team members who are more introverted in person can really benefit from written communications. Physical barriers can actually level the playing field for those who may be less inclined to speak in group settings. Lastly, find ways to celebrate and socialize remotely to strengthen relationships between team members and improve collaboration. Even a simple switch from conference calls to video, for instance, can boost rapport and create empathy. The challenges of remote teams will not disappear, but creating consistent rules, rituals, and protocols will go a long way in building a new communication skill set.
There we go, drinking from a Burberry cup. See that one? Posh cup. Nice. China. Ow. Don't do that again. No hot coffee. So that's your introduction to remote teams. You already know about remote teams. You already know the challenges of how to deal with them and the protocols. We're going to now look at gamification and see the best ways to be able to move that forward, possibly better, and add gaming to the amount of difference that you make to the bottom line. Now, as we talk about gaming and we're saying, why should we do gaming? Well, let me tell you first of all that during our lockdown time, there's one group of people who don't even know that there's a coronavirus out there, and that's the gamers. The gamers are still online, playing the games, interconnected, and there's 2.8 billion of them. Let me do that again. 2.8 billion people who aren't bothered because they're already interacting and doing stuff. So when you turn around and say, well, people aren't interested in gaming, I think you're wrong. It's just that they haven't been introduced to gaming in the workplace properly. So how do you do that? Well, we're going to share that with you now on the video all about gamification strategy. Love to know your thoughts. And as always, this is Speak on Stage.
Welcome to the Gamification Guide. Today we'll learn the basics of gamification strategy, including common terms, how to implement solutions, and what it can do for your company. Gamification is usually described as the application of game elements to non-game contexts. In simpler terms, gamification takes the characteristics we like about games and adds them to everyday actions in order to make them more interesting. Think about receiving points for filing paperwork or brushing your teeth. These game elements leverage our love of competition and reward and use it to encourage certain actions. By changing the way people think about behavior, gamification can change people's habits. Gamification encourages behavior with instant positive feedback. In order to understand gamification, you have to speak the language. Like any tech industry, gamification has a lot of jargon. Let's dive in. Users are anyone who participates in a gamification platform. For some companies, users will be their customers. For other companies, the users will be their employees. Feedback. Immediate positive feedback makes us feel good about completing something and motivates us to do it again. Feedback mechanics are the most widely known gamification element. Badges. Badges are usually awarded for actions the user has just completed. They offer a more visual display of achievement than points and can be shown on profile pages or user accounts. Leaderboards. Ranking top performers on a leaderboard broadcasts who's getting the most out of the game. Leaderboards help foster a sense of community, especially if users are joined into teams. Gamification can take many forms, so it's important to evaluate all your options. Gamification services can be grouped into 3 categories. Software as a service. The most common form of gamification, these offerings are entirely cloud-based. They let companies take advantage of gamification services without the need for customer service or hardware. SaaS platforms usually give businesses a great deal of control with minimal coding or upkeep required. Because they run entirely in the cloud, users can also access the services from any internet-connected device. Custom software. On-premise gamification software is generally reserved for specific industries or custom solutions. Developers will sometimes work with companies to create unique interfaces and mechanics based around their workflow and criteria. Certain vendors even offer full-fledged game design. Hardware. While gamification is usually a software-based technology, a few vendors integrate hardware into their product suites. One example of this is the company Belly, whose Belly card rewards customers for scanning it each time they're at a location. Innovative companies will find ways to further personalize the gamification experience. Some companies are creating personal leaderboards, which only show a user's closest competitors. This allows for a more personal experience and doesn't discourage lower-ranking employees. Visit technologyadvice.com to learn more about gamification and see reviews of top companies.
But there you've got some ideas all about gamification. If you're not already using it in your workplace, it's worth investigating, because I don't think we're going to come out of this experience very quickly. I think we're going to have remote teams for a very long time, and people will not want to necessarily go back to the office unless the boss has paid a fortune for the rent and forces you to go back in. People like working from home. Generally, this is a key. And also productivity has gone up since most people work at home and don't have to sit in traffic, so they do their job and then relax with the family, watch a bit of TV, then go back again. And during their spare time, they kind of use their work as their hobby as well. So you get a lot more out of your average person who's working from home. But that doesn't mean you should take the foot off the gas when it comes engaging. Otherwise, what we'll do is the culture will change of what your organization is. When you can't physically see each other, if you can't replace it with something like a game, and people will then hear about their friends who've got a much more interesting company to work with, and they'll start looking at that. Or even worse, for many employers, but actually better for many staff, is that you can work for many different organizations. And you can work for less money, for more organizations, and get paid more money when you put it all together. That's the outsourcing gig economy, which is already here. And if anything, that's the thing that's going to grow from what we're facing right now. So right now, across all places, whether it's at school and education, or workplaces, or amongst friends, or even quiz nights, there's a number of different apps that are being used to bring people together. One of the top ones is called Kahoot. And I've played it a couple of times. It is a hoot, and so I want to share it with you. There are lots of other ones available. I'm only showing you this because it's an easy one to understand and an easy one for you to explain to other people should you be interested. And it starts off free as well, so it's kind of cool. So if you don't understand or you've never played Kahoot, then this is for you. And if you've played Kahoot before, this is for you. And if you don't know what Kahoot means, this is for you. It's SpeakOnstage.
Hi, we're Kahoot. We're on a mission to make learning awesome. Our game-based learning platform is used by millions of people all over the world: teachers, students, company employees, and lifelong learners. Kahoot makes it easy to create fun learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes, anytime, anywhere. We call them Kahoots. It works for any subject, in any language, on any device. You can also discover and play existing games. There are millions of Kahoots in our library. Kahoot can be played in a live setting with questions on a big screen, or on your mobile device where you see questions and answers on one screen. As well as in schools, Kahoot is played in companies, at events, and even parties to make learning awesome. Sign up today at Kahoot.com. Let's play!
So that was Kahoot, and what I want to do now is take a deep dive into my mobile phone, which is here, and you can see it there, and look at how you can gamify your lifestyle. This is especially for people who are solopreneurs, or you want to do something with your life just to motivate you better. You might not be in a job right now, and you're thinking, okay, well, that's fine and dandy, and it sounds really exciting for people who actually have the opportunity to do something, but what do I do? Well, let me share with you a couple of parameters and ideas about gamifying your own life, because there you'll find some things you can use on a regular basis that just motivate you and step you up and make you feel different about it. So this is from producttribe.com. If you want to get more, you can go and have a look at the website. I'm not going to spend too long on the actual nuts and bolts of the site, but you can see what this is about. Okay, so what is lifestyle gamification? It's the idea that you motivate yourself to finish certain tasks by adding what already happens in your life, but adding points and rewards to it. Does that make sense? So how does that work? Well, very simply, I've got this diagram here, which you can probably see. I was actually going to give you another diagram, but this will do the job. See the dark blue on the picture? That is the area that gets excited by your dopamine injections. What's a dopamine injection? What's dopamine? Right, let me tell you what dopamine is. Dopamine is the buzz you get when something makes you feel good. What do you mean by that? Okay, my collar's sticking up, isn't it? You didn't say anything. Dave, your collar's sticking up. I know, it's a sports shirt. They do that. Thank you. Got half the show with my collar sticking up. Looks like Elvis, but not even one little bit. Thanks, my friend Elvis Mark Goddard. or Mark Elvis Goddard in the UK watches a show. Dear friend of mine, and he looks like Elvis. Could you imagine? Well, that's it. I'm sharing it now. So anyway, the dark blue is the dopamine, which bounces around your head and makes you feel excited. When you're into something, it makes you feel happy. And so when you're working out, the endorphins give you dopamine, and it makes you feel good and makes you buzz, and that's why people get addicted to working out. The same is true for social media. Those smart guys, smart evil geniuses, perhaps, who created social media know that likes and shares and comments make you feel excited, and they're addictive because they send a little spark into your brain that goes, woohoo, people love me, it's gone again, let's have more, woohoo, people love me again, it's gone again. So that little split second of wow gets you really excited and makes you do lots of things that make you get more wows. Does that make sense? So that's why dopamine is so important for the gaming industry. So tapping to that, you can understand how it works with social media. If you didn't have likes or comments or shares or loves or anything like that, you would just see it as a blog and you wouldn't care. But you get buzz from it. So the same thing is true for gaming, and it's true for games. When you've got a team and you want to make them all excited, you give them the opportunity to do this stuff that gives you dopamine injections. Okay, so I mean, you can check it out. There'll be videos on exactly how that dopamine works. I'll talk about it more depth a different episode. But meanwhile, there's certain things that really work for you. So if you can find an epic meaning in your life and your calling in life, that makes you excited. Similarly, when you look at the next thing, when you develop something and you feel like you've accomplished something, that's a dopamine excitement for you. Similarly, being empowered to give creativity a go and to get feedback from people around you, dopamine. These are all little bits that make you feel good. Well, hey, see how this gamifying is working? Because if you can do it so these things make you feel good, you can do more of it and score it with points and give yourself rewards. But I jump on. Let's look at the rest of this. So ownership and possession make you excited. When you feel you've done something for you and you've got a reward as a direct result of doing it, that's a dopamine injection. Social influence, so you've done stuff, other people turn around and say you're great, that makes you feel good. Or if you're jealous and it makes you feel bad, so you want to get that happiness again, so it motivates you in a negative way, but still a real way to do stuff. Scarcity and impatience, they're powerful as well. I mean, the reason that people want stuff is because they know it will run out. Look at the way that Black Friday or any sales work. The idea of scarcity, it drives up the price or drives up the enthusiasm at least. So I can get a fridge for half price if I go now. Well, I need a fridge. I know I'm busy, but maybe I'll just got scarcity, see? Because it's going to run out of time, so you feel you've got to do it. And impatience, same thing. Okay, unpredictability and curiosity. The more that people get excited about the fact they've got no idea what's coming, when they get the reveal, wow. So that's how cliffhangers work on TV shows. And that's why trailers work for movies. You've got to see more of it, and it gets you all excited about what could happen. And your imagination starts playing with it. And also, loss and avoidance, very important, because when you lose a game and you lose lives or you lose points or you lose your character and you got to start again from the beginning, it feels terrible. And that works in a gaming context because it makes you want to not have that happen. Does that make sense? Yes, Dave. Are you sure? Yes, Dave. Don't just say if you don't mean it. If you don't mean it at all, just keep it to yourself. I'm not bothered. I'm a grown-up. I can handle it. So can you. Okay, so with that, let me just check to see. Okay, yeah, we're on the right track with that. Good. So then let's move on. How do you become the games master of your own life? Well, very simply, to become the games master of your own life, you have to take charge. If you ever played that game, Dungeons and Dragons, and it cost me my A-levels when I was a teenager, because I got so into, well, it's in Dungeons and Dragons and swords and stuff. Think Conan. That's too early. Think Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones. Imagine that was a board game that's so engrossing with wizards and stuff. That was my teenage years. And booze and chicks. Mainly booze and chicks. Okay, so you become a games master of your life. You're driving everything, and you're in charge of making it all happen. So how do you do it without special apps? Well, very simply, you just need to attach awards to your normal to-do list. So if you've got a to-do list you do every day about all the things you've got to do, I've got to put the washing out, I've got to finish my work, I've got to call my mom and say, hi, how are you getting on? Coronavirus, yeah, whatever you got to do. If you attach points to it and you've got to go at the end of the day to get all the points and then you can reward yourself for something nice and you don't do it and you don't get it, then you're upset. But if you do it and you feel the gratification of having hit your list, then you feel a buzz, dopamine, and possibly a big chocolate cake, depending on how you decide to reward yourself. Or maybe you give yourself some money, which is kind of misleading because it's your money anyway, unless you stole it from somebody else, in which case you could get to prison and then you'd be very frustrated and then you'd be saying, Dave, what's in the box? What's in the box? In fact, When I go like this and say, what's in the box? Last time I heard, can you see this? Can you wonder what it is? You might probably guess. If you can guess, put it in, and I'll tell you if you're right or wrong. Last time I heard somebody say, what's in the box, was Brad Pitt in the movie Seven. Have you seen that movie? He goes, what's in the box? What's in the box? And he knows what's in the box. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it looks a bit like Gwyneth Paltrow. Okay, so use surprise rewards for yourself as well. What do you mean for a surprise reward? Well, if you get loads of rewards and you write them down on a bit of paper and you put them in a box or in an envelope so you don't know what you're going to get when you actually reward yourself, you can go, oh, look, I got this. I didn't think I'd get that until probably tomorrow. So you can kind of do it to fool yourself, or you get somebody to pick it out for you, depending on who you trust. And you can number them. Get somebody to choose a number or roll a dice. So it's a surprise reward. Then also engage in time-based challenges. So I have to do this by the end of a day. I have to do this by lunchtime. I have to do this by Christmas. If I do, and it's very important, if you do, you have to give yourself something for doing it. Now, this might seem like it's a ridiculous game to play, but it's really, really good, and it really does motivate you. If you have challenges motivating yourself every day anyway, or you're just bored because you can kind of be cool and complacent and just cool for school, this drives you in a competition of you versus the rewards that you set out for yourself. Okay, make a deal with a friend to partner up with as well. It can be really cool. So you and your friends say, right, what we'll do is we'll gamify our lives together. What do you want? And I'll make sure that if you do this, you get it. And what do I want? And you can play that kind of game. Does that make sense? And it's not expensive. You can do that with household items or with just taking a break. If I do this, I deserve to take a break. If I go to the gym, I deserve to watch Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones, you already know. Danny goes, boo! And she kills everybody. And that's Game of Thrones saved. There you go. Jon Snow, yeah. And the small guy, why didn't he? Why didn't he? And then you got Bran, eyes. Scary, spooky. Let's just give him a crown. What was that about? I have no idea. Then you got Sansa. Arya Stark. Ninja. Brilliant. Why? Who cares? And you've got Sansa, it is, who does become, but doesn't become, but had too many and really deserve better. And then you've got the dogs. And I've got one of them because my dog Snow looks just like him. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then that was Game of Thrones in a nutshell. If you do know what I'm talking about, then that was Game of Thrones in a nutshell. And you can't say it wasn't, apart from the Night King. I don't understand why that disappeared so quickly. What was all that about? The Night King, chatter. Oh, another 10 episodes. Night King's gone. So that's Game of Thrones, as I've shared with you, and that's exactly how it happened. So I've saved you, how many seasons? 7 seasons of about, 10 episodes? 8 to 10 episodes each? I've probably saved you about 1 million years of conversation because of that. And it's interesting to see when we're talking about gamification and the importance of doing it. Game of Thrones, at its peak, was like social media, catnip. People going bonkers about Game of Thrones. Have you seen the episode? Do you know this happened? Can you believe that the mountain's still alive after all that? You've got to watch it to understand. But at the same time as every episode that came out in Game of Thrones was watched by millions, 50 million people at a time watching it going, oh my goodness, what's going to happen next? The gaming world had people on Twitch that you've never heard of who are getting 80 million people, not 50, 80 million people watching them just playing games and laughing and talking, because there's a different world out there that you probably don't know about. But what I'm saying is they got into gaming, they love gaming, they swear by it, and it's worth more money. Let me illustrate this to you because it's kind of important. When you're saying, and you're probably sitting, if you're an accountant or you're in a position where you're saying, oh, Dave, I don't know what you're talking about with gamification. Why should that be important? Let me tell you why gamification is really important by looking at the esports and the gaming world. The online gaming industry, online and offline, so people play at home and they don't bother going online, me, because I don't like getting beaten. But the online gaming industry, the whole esports thing, is worth more than the actual sports industry, the movie industry, and the music industry, and the fashion industry put together. It's worth more than all of those industries put together. I am not joking. So when you turn your nose up and you say, oh, I couldn't do gaming, it's for kids. No, It just hasn't been brought through to adults properly yet. You get me? You feel me, bro? It's the first time I ever said that. Sounds kind of cool. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, so how to gamify your business. Let's go into that and start off at the very beginning. A very good place to start, and that's from a Sound of Music. Okay, so how to gamify. Very simply, let's start with number one, and this is it. Define what win is. What does win mean to you? We should have some music playing now normally. Where's the music gone? I normally like it. Oh, still the Bond music from yesterday. Oh, I left the Bond music on. Should we play this, our normal music on? There we go. See, that's what we don't have. Okay, define what a win is to you. What does win mean to you? Does that mean that you win? It means other people win? Does that mean that everybody wins? If everybody wins, it's not really a game. I know it makes you feel better, but if you think about the challenges facing people with their kids going to school, and it doesn't matter who takes part in the race, you get a medal for taking part. And you say, well, when I was a kid, you only got a medal if you won. What's the incentive to be a winner? Well, we don't want anyone to feel terrible. Yeah, but you make everyone feel terrible who's won and made the effort, because what's the point in winning with gold when everyone gets a gold medal for participating? So you've got to work out what's the most effective one for your job and for your team and for yourself as well. And make sure this is at the heart of everything, because those calculations could be a make or break for every single thing that you do after that, because it might not have any relevance because it didn't get what people were motivated by. Okay, number two is this one. Decide what kind of game is it. Is it a life game? Is it a game of life? Is it a role play game? Is it an arcade game? Is it something that's to do with accounts? And so if you hit certain targets, you get this. I mean, that's what the game in sales have been doing it for years, but not really gamifying it. If you hit these targets or these rewards, you get these blah, blah, blah. What I'm talking about is really breaking that down. We'll be talking about that more as we progress through this. I hope this is useful for you, by the way. Gamification is a really interesting way to be able to boost your business, especially in remote teams, and you're not sure how to do them. All right. Number three, and this is really the breakdown of what you're going to think about. Striving toward, let me just stop the music there. What you're doing is you're striving towards a goal, okay? As you're striving towards a goal, and there's usually lots of different goals that you can have in between to keep people interested, lots of steps or day by day or event by event, then you can earn rewards. And as you're doing that, when you earn rewards, you level up. This is taking it from the actual arcade games like Sonic or Donkey Kong or whatever it is, right? So you earn rewards and then you go up a level when you do it. And then you carry on plotting away through your course. And all the while, you avoid situations that will defeat you or challenge you and cost you lives. And instead, what you get is lots of rewards for doing it right. Does that make sense? That's your average video game. Almost every game is like that. Some have a bit more strategy in it, but they work the same kind of way. What you've got to work out is how does that gamify fit into what you've got to do with your existing organization and your team. And you don't have to work it out for yourself the hard way, because there are lots of games existing that tell you how to do that. And lots of other things online where people said, we use this with our team, just borrow it. I was going to say steal it, but don't borrow it. And then you can see. All right, link your design of it to business objectives, okay? And remember, the whole point of this is to engage in your team and prove to them that it's fun to do this. Okay, here's what's kind of important as well. Get employee consent. Now, if you don't get them to buy in, you're wasting a lot of time. Now, you can turn around and say, if you don't buy in, then I'll sack you. But that's a little bit extreme, even for now, because in a remote world, yeah, they need the money now, but if they decide to go online and start looking at other opportunities, you never know. You might lose some of your best people if you don't look after them anyway. And that's going to cost you money. The figures used to be, I don't know if it's still true, if you lose a member of staff or a member of staff leaves, then it costs you a year's wages to replace them. This is predominantly for good members of staff as opposed to people who are just like time wasting, stealing, and all the rest of it. So let me put that in perspective. If somebody says I'm leaving the job and they're a good person and a good employee, you got 6 months of winding down where they become less and less productivity in most cases. Then you got a period of time to try and find a replacement. During that time, you're being less productive yourself. And then you got a 6-month period of bedding somebody in until they get up to speed. That's about a year's worth of wages until they slot in to the gap that was left by the person you had in the first place who did a great job. So that's why it's worth your while keeping the team you have if they still work for you effectively and gamifying the relationships so they're still motivated with you. Does that make sense? Even if you think, well, we've got to change, there's nothing wrong with that, but not everybody fits in. And if you get somebody who joins a company, you spend a lot of time and energy and money getting them up to speed, and then they leave, you've got nothing to show for it. So looking after your team first, but you've got to get them to buy in. If they don't buy in, then you're wasting your time sharing anything with them because it just won't work. Okay, number 5, make the rewards meaningful. They've got to be something that they want to aspire to have, not just, oh, pizza for everybody. I can buy my own pizza. I mean, take this to a simple thing. People say to me, they don't anymore because they're not expensive, but I'm not expensive. They say to me, Dave, can I pick your brains? Or can I meet you for a coffee? We'll have a chat because I've got a couple of ideas I just want to run by you. No, you can't. Why? Because I worked my butt off to get to a position where I know the answers to everything related to entertainment, to speaking, to engaging, to marketing, to creating a personal brand. Why would I share that for free? Why would I? Because all you're going to do is you'll save on the money you didn't pay me. You'll say, I now have a complete roadmap of what I need to do. Let's see if I can find a cheaper practitioner than Dave. And so now my competition sees what makes me the best at doing what I do. They go, oh my goodness, that's a great idea. What a wonderful roadmap. We'll start using that in our marketing. And suddenly I lose a ton of potential clients that go over there who think that the competition was great because they invented this. That's what happens when you do stuff for free. I know this sounds like it's a terrible thing to say, Dave, but you shouldn't think like that. Trust me. Somebody wants to work with you, they'll hire you. Or they can Google what you do. I've got shows like this all over the place that show people exactly what I'm talking about. And I don't mind giving this for free because it saves me on time. You can watch it in your own time. I give you exactly what you need to know. And if you need to know more, then hire my services. Why? Because I love spending time with my family. And if I'm not spending time with my family and you want me to spend time with you, pay for it. I would have to do the same for you. I don't expect you to do anything for free. Does that make sense? Good. Okay. So make the rewards meaningful and have clear rules, number 6, about exactly what it is that people have to do. If you don't have clear rules, people think they've been cheated and they think that something's gone dodgy. And this is true for also making sure that whatever the end results are, you're completely transparent. I've been working in entertainment now for almost 5 decades, for about 5 decades. I know, and I look good on it despite the fact I'm an old fart. But whenever I do raffles or games or something that involves a prize, I don't play the game myself. I know people who do. They put their raffle ticket in and do all. But the thing is, if I was to win, everyone's going to say you cheated. You knew the numbers. You picked them out. And that hijacks my enjoyment of winning. It means that everyone distrusts the raffle. It means that everyone thinks the organization was bogus and cheated. And it means that nobody wants to come back again. Why would I put anybody in that situation just for the sake of getting something? If they're paying my fee to be there, that also includes not winning on the raffle. So I'm just saying to you, it's very important. So have clear rules so whoever wins clearly won because of the best or because you pull their number out in front of everybody. And if you want to make sure that that's seen as being authentic, let somebody else pull the numbers out. And then you go, what have you got? Number 7. Who's number 7? Jim, congratulations, you've won. Even if you like Jim best, doesn't matter. You didn't pick it out. Unless somebody upturns it, has a look, and says, oh my goodness, every single ticket had Jim written on it. Then you're in trouble. But don't do that, okay? So gaming mechanisms have to be very clear as well. Make everybody know the rules. Make the mechanisms nice and easy to deal with. If it's too complicated, people just lose interest and do something else. Because life is complicated. And they want to make sure the game is fun and something they can do. So these are different areas you can look at, by the way. Training and development. Very, very interesting for an area. You train and you get rewards. You develop yourself and come up with a great idea. You get rewards for that. It's all gamifying. It's all very interesting to use that. Project management and getting tasks done. That makes itself obvious. As the task progresses, you can hit certain things, certain rewards, certain ideas, and you share them and you get results. Whoever does it best can get something. That basic idea. Time management. Do it within a certain time and still get it right. Do it faster next time. You get rewards for doing that. You can also get points for doing this. Developing a strategic plan that unifies management. These are simple things. But your gamifying can do all this. And you can reward people for doing what you wanted them to do, but they love doing it, and they feel that they've been given a gift for doing what they did anyway. And it doesn't have to be expensive. It just has to be seen to be a well done. Sometimes certificates work really well as well, by the way, just in case you've never done that. Develop a scorecard that ties back to the strategy. So that scorecard could be online. It could be on a board, it could be in Slack or in WhatsApp, it could be on some kind of leaderboard that you show the team, like you show them, or you send it around afterwards, let people contribute to it. But it must be transparent. What I always would say as well, by the time you come around, if you've got a bit close to the actual winner and you're saying, right, this afternoon we're going to have the winner, you don't have to show people that. You can say, I'm going to pull away the leaderboard, you can't see anything, and I'll show you next who's going to win. But I'm not going to tell you with a day's notice who it's going to be, so anybody can go for it. You can also say double or quits. So the last task is worth twice as many points to make it really interesting for those who are close and not so close. If you're not so close, you could still win. You get it? Okay. So the scoreboard is kind of important. The scorecard is very important. The game must be in public view. So key. If you're not transparent, if you're not showing people what's going on, then they will think it's a fix. And some people think it's a fix anyway. But if you can turn around and say, look, this is the deal. Think about the American elections, or even better, don't think about the American elections. I was going to start talking about that, and I know I'll go down a rabbit hole. In fact, I'm now going to go like this. I'm going to detox. Got just less than 2 weeks. I'm not going to talk about transparency. I'm not going to talk about American elections. I'm just going to talk about life is good. Okay, so a game must be in public view, and you've got to be honest and open and not tell lies. All right then, next up, just moving on, there's no point even going on about this anymore. Number 14, incentives have to tie back to the scorecard. To keep hold of it, to work with it, and to see on the scorecard where it is you're going to win. People need to see this. It's very important. And last but not least is this. The game should begin. Ready, steady, go. Let them know. Give them a build-up. Get them excited. Get people split into teams. In two-man teams is good, or two teams against each other, and you wind them up with team captains. There's loads of ways of doing it. If you have people doing it against themselves, some people just don't play. Some people don't get wound up the same way, or they feel from their back childhood that they never win anything. But if you can make them as part of the team to motivate them, and then get individual prizes for the best one, then that's really cool. I mean, we were looking at an event coming up. We're saying, right, why don't we get people to, I mean, we're doing this tonight at our opening of the Guinness Book of Records biggest fountain in the world in Dubai, which I'm hosting, which I'm very excited about. The picture's here somewhere. Anyway, so where is it? Where is it? Here. Okay, so that's the gig that's going on tonight, just showing you at the Palm Fountain. And we had a conversation saying, why don't we run a competition to say that you hashtag all the different sponsors, then post your experience. We'll call it the magical moments of the event. So people can post their videos or their shots or their family, whatever it is. Very interesting. And then we said, well, the one that gets the most likes will win. But then we realized that we're in a world of influencers. Now, in a world of influencers, getting the most likes is relatively easy if you start off with a couple of million people on your Instagram or your Facebook. Nobody has a chance of beating you because you start off with so many people that are already in your corner. So we decided to remove that from the game. It's not the person with most likes, it's the one that the judges decide is the best one is going to win. So sometimes traditional gaming has to take a step back for something that's going to be working so everybody feels it's a level playing field. If you don't think you can win, then why would you want to get involved in it and waste all that time and effort to feel like a loser at the end of it? True, but if you can feel you can win, you would. Right, let's have a little quick look at something that I put together now. These are some of the apps that showed up after multiple viewings of different recommended sites. I'm not going to tell you about them. I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse of them. You can then write down the name of them and Google it yourself. Some will be paid, some will be free. Normally these work on a freemium business model, so you start it for free and then you pay if you want to include more bits and pieces. You know how it works. You've got apps and stuff before. Okay, so let's have a look at these are the 5 things that I would recommend that you look at. The top gamification business apps for working with your team. There are some other ones which are for working on yourself. All right, so number 1 is this one, Ambition. Okay, so I'm just sharing this. The first one's going to be Ambition, and this is where you got teams doing stuff, and it looks a little bit like that. So Ambition, you can see it on your app store, or just Google it and find where the website is. Next, I'm going to share with you is this one, Centrical. That's got lots of challenge-based stuff. I'm not going to say which is good and which is bad. I'm just giving you the different things to Google. So that you had Ambition, you had Centrical. Next up, number 3 we're going to have here is, I hadn't changed the name of it. Ooh, I should have changed that, shouldn't I? One which we'll never be able to find out what it's called. I should have written it at the top. It was very late last night. Anyway, it looks like that. I'll find out and come back to you. Can we see it there? Is it there? If you know which one this is, then please put it in. I'll find out for you. I'll look at it and I'll send it in probably the next episode. Or I'll put it into the comments so you can see it. Or I'll add it, in fact, to the post, to the actual stuff on the post, so you can find it. I feel a bit stupid now because I probably haven't changed the next one. Oh, I did do. Next one's Hoopla. This is quite popular and it's got a really nice leaderboard system, especially for use with sales. Or at least very nice rewards, and this has got some really cool stuff, and you can see who's doing well. Remember, you want to incentivize people to be part of this, but you don't want to make people feel stupid if they're not on the leaderboard, because nobody gets excited about watching somebody else win unless they're really stupid. I mean, no, you support them, but if they're going to be new, yeah, it's not the same thing. All right, and you don't want to leave anybody left behind. You want everyone to feel that they can do it. Influitive is this one. You see, influitive? Yes, I know you're still wondering what the other one was called, and I don't know, so there we go. And I think we've got one more. No, that's it. That's your lot, I think. What's the next picture? Ooh, don't know. Another picture. It's this one. Wow, that's not moving. Oh, that's what it is. Tell me if it's coming to the end of the show. So with that, then I think what we need to do is something completely different. Well, I hope you enjoyed your coffee in today's show as well. As I mentioned earlier, the speaking world is opening up. Whether or not you're doing gigs or not doesn't matter. There are gigs available and people are thinking differently. We've had a long summer where things are relatively quiet. I'm inundated all the time now with inquiries. Dave, can you do this gig? Who do you know can do gigs? All this kind of stuff. Some of them are going to be practical, physical ones with social distancing. Some are going to be online. Some are going to be having management in a room, and you've got to still keep your distance. But having great ideas, having great presentations, having a wonderful signature talk, they're still out there. And I would say as well, people are talking about the fact there's a lot less money in the market. I don't think there's less money in the market. I know a lot less is being spent, but money doesn't disappear. What happens is that people are a lot more cautious about how to use it. So if you've got really innovative ideas, if you've got some great ways of showing people how to deal with their big problems right now, and the problems are, how do you deal with lockdown? How do you deal with a business that's not working anymore? How do you deal with a team that doesn't know how to deal with it? A number of different things. You might have some solutions for that, or some pastimes that make people feel differently. All those are what people will pay for. Someone somewhere is looking for it. So knock on doors. It's a hustle game. Knock on everyone's door. Say, I've got a really good idea. Would you like me to share it with you? Some will say no. Some will say busy. Some will say I've got no budget. But some will turn around and say, you know what? Sounds like a good idea. Now, if you're thinking about how you can get advantage of this and launch yourself as a speaker, then contact me directly. Go to SpeakOnstage.com and go to the industry icon. Just click on the green button. If you want to learn how to speak, then we're adding digital stagecraft to that as well. We'll also give you a crash course in working out what you need to do to be a very effective speaker. Going from just speaking to normal audiences, you get a scorecard to take you up to understanding how well you're doing as a proper speaker too, and what you need to do next. If you want to bypass all that and work with me directly, just click on the link and we'll give you an opportunity to book a 10-minute meeting. And I am getting super busy by the way, and things do have to shift sometimes. So get in nice and early. I think the earliest I can get you in is about a week and a half from now. But book it in now. It's a free consultation to see how I can help you to grow your business through speaking. If you're looking for a job, don't contact me. I'm not hiring anybody. And I will do an episode of how to get a job in the future, in the near future, on this show as well. So go to Speak On Stage, and you too could be an industry icon. So in summary, to put it all together, I had this diagram I was going to show you, which is this one here. That's how your brain works. The purple bits are the things that get excited by the dopamine that buzzes around in your head, saying that you are doing really well, and therefore you deserve a reward. This is why you do gamification, because it doesn't exist in most other ways. But you can create it, you can elicit it, and get your team to be very excited by it. Also, there are gigs, and if you're around tonight, I'll be streaming this probably through my Facebook or my Instagram. The world's largest fountain, Dubai time. I think I'm on stage for about 8:30. something like that. But I'll be going on a couple of times earlier just to talk to the audience and warm them all up. I'm going to get to see Frozen. In fact, I should just move this to one side because my head's gone. My head is frozen. So you get to see Frozen, you get to see Game of Thrones, and you get to see a routine from Aladdin as well. All done in water with lights and stuff. I can tell you it's the most spectacular thing. I will video some of it and I will share it with you, but the best way to experience it, if you are based in the UAE or definitely in Dubai, is go along and enjoy it because it's a real wow and you're gonna have to love it as well. Okay, so with that, it's come to the end of the show. Gamify your team. I did promise I would share with you how to start doing it. I showed you a number of different things, how to gamify your business. I also showed you how to gamify yourself. I also showed you some of the best tips and tricks and also apps that you can have to do it. And hopefully through all that, you're in a position where you can start looking today to go on Google and see how to motivate yourself and your team, and maybe even your family or kids if they're not doing schoolwork and enjoying it quite so much. Motivate them, gamify everything. It's the future and it's here right now, and in 99% of the time it's absolutely free. So with that, you're wondering what's in the box? What's in the box? What's in the box? And I've run out of time to tell you, so maybe I'll have to tell you on the next episode. I would say it's tomorrow, but I don't know if it's tomorrow. You'll just have to subscribe, follow, connect, and friend me, so then it'll say Dave is live, and then you'll be able to watch the show as it comes up. It'll be nice and fresh. I look forward to sharing that with you. Meanwhile, it's come to the end of our show today, and so I'm going to leave you with one of my favorite videos. Of course, it's me. It's always me. With your reinvention. Look after yourself. Have an amazing day. I'll catch you soon, and I've got some incredible news I'm going to be putting into a program for you all about stress management. That's coming up sometime probably next week, and I promise you, you will love it. And that plus more is all for you. It's Speak on Stage. Have an amazing day. I want to ask you a question. What defines you? What if you lost your money, you lost your job, you lost your house, you lost your shoes, you lost your friends, you lost the ability to turn around and say to people, this is what I want from my life? What if you had no rights? What if you had no clothes? What if you had nowhere to live? What if your passport went and you lost your ability to take a plane to anywhere in the world? What if a bank didn't recognize you? What if nobody recognized you? What if you lost your health? And on top of that, you lost your will. What would you be after all those things? The truth is, you would still be you. Your phone, your gadgets, the people around you, they're what define you right now, but that's not who you truly are. The person you truly are is whoever you decide that you're going to be. And you can decide that person every single day. Every day you have a choice. You can stay where you are. You can look at the past. You can look at all the trophies on the shelf and the photos and the selfies of the places that you've been and the people you've met, and you can say, that is me. Or you can say, that was me yesterday. The one that comes today and the one that comes tomorrow. Could be anybody. And the adventure is, I'm going to define them right now. And that's why you create a roadmap and you define yourself every single day.